You're mine now. You belong to me. Today we're going to play a new fun game.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Twin Peaks podcast. My name is Dan.
My name's Nicole.
And this is the movie-based podcast where we talk about two films based on a theme. This week our theme is prison movies and we're discussing Lady Vengeance and Escape from Alcatraz. After that we're going to be doing the third section, which is called Stitch Up, where one of us has to watch a terrible film. This week it's my turn. I had to watch Legally Blondes because you chose it and I lost. It was a straight up loss, wasn't it, last time? It was a landslide. There was no tossing involved in the last one.
I was thinking, you know how we recorded with Albert the other week? And I said, you should just forfeit and watch Legally Blondes. If you just forfeited, I mean, either way, you had to watch the movie.
I would have been screwed either way, yeah. And but I watched it. And I sent you proof last night. I sent you a picture on WhatsApp and said, look, I'm watching it with a nice little sticky finger uppy emoji. Yeah. So I will be discussing with you Legally Blondes. But before all that, we have a little bit of a chat and a chinwick about whatever we want. How are you doing, mate? How are things?
Yeah, things are pretty good. It's crazy at work as per usual. I've been camping, which was really, really nice to do for a couple of days at a friend's property. And we did like a hike and we made these kokodamas? It's like a succulent and it's in like a ball shape and you can hang them. Because the mate who we stayed at his on his property, he's got a YouTube channel called Crafting Good Health. And one of our mates was recording this episode over that weekend. You should check him out on YouTube. Okay. And then we got to make them afterwards. It was kind of a cool project to make during camping.
Yeah. Did you drink them?
No, they're a plant, mate.
I thought but when you said you went camping, I was assuming it was some survival thing where you built a plant.
Yeah, you build a plant, so then you take it home with you, and then it grows in your house.
Oh, that's what plants do, isn't it? I'd forgotten. Yeah.
Do you have any plans, Dan?
No, I'd never remember to look after it. Maybe I should. Maybe it'd be a good lesson for me.
Yeah.
But I'm terrible with things like that. So you've been camping and building plants. That's all very exciting. What else you got planned?
I'm going to the comedy festival tomorrow. I'm going to see Jim Allen.
Yeah.
And I think it's on till this weekend, or maybe next weekend is the last weekend. I can't remember. I went to the comedy festival last weekend with the volunteering group that my mate was trying to get me onto. I finally have signed up, and
nice.
And I was excited because I was like, I thought it was a comedy gala. It wasn't the comedy gala, but it was going to be a bunch of comedians. I was like, oh, this is going to be cool. So, met everyone and we had some dinner and then we're like, oh, got half an hour till the show starts. And then we went up to like get seated. They're like, oh no, the show got cancelled. I was like, what? So we had to like scramble to figure out what we're going to do for the next like few hours before, we drop the guys off. And then I called the comedy phone line. I was just like, is there any shows tonight for 8 individuals? Yeah. And they're like, oh yeah, there's these 2 comedians and we chose one of them. And he was all right.
Yeah.
I didn't pay for the ticket. I think the whole fun.
Freebie.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I think the whole night in general was the funny bit because we were trying to like scramble for a car park and it took us like an hour to
that
find
sounds
one.
Stressful, mate. It doesn't sound fun. Oh
no!
Awful.
But like,
so stressed out.
So we were in a van, right? It's a disability organization.
Yeah.
So there's, disability car parks all around the city. They were all taken. Some of them were taken by people who weren't supposed to be parked in them. And you can't park underground because you get stuck. Have you? Oh my God. I've done that once with a van before. I've got stuck underneath a car park, and I was like,
No,
I was
you
like, oh
haven't.
my god, oh my god, oh my god, I just need to get through. And I
What do
got
you
through,
mean?
but
What, the roof was too low? The ceiling was
the
too
roof,
low?
yeah, and I
How
got
did you get in it in the first place?
because this was years ago, back in the day when I used to work in art department. Because I think the barrier was slightly bent, so I was like, oh, I can get through.
Okay.
And there was
Okay.
areas that you can get through, but there was pipes as well. And then when
Yeah.
you got to the pipe bit, you go. I was like, oh my god, I can't get stuck. I can't get stuck. Like, this is not my van.
Oh, mate.
And like since that day, every time I freak, even like with my 4-wheel drive, I freak out going in underground car parks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we tried a couple of underground car parks because I knew of one that you could, but our van was a little bit too high. She ended up parking. I think they ended up parking illegally. Well, actually, no, I don't think she
Don't say
did.
that. Don't say that on a podcast.
Well, I don't
That's
actually.
evidence, isn't it? I'm not cutting that out. So if they do end up doing time, that's on you, mate.
Well, I read the sign. I think it was okay after hours. There's so many rules and regulations with parking in the city, like loading zones and all that jazz.
Well,
So,
typical city, innit? It's the same in London, as you
London.
know.
Oh my god! I had to drive. So
To London.
I had to drive in London a couple of times. When I was working on Neighbours, they had to hire a car, and they only could hire a manual car, which was
Oh, do you usually
horrible.
drive automatic? It's just automatics out there, isn't it, usually?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here is in Australia, it's so easy to get an automatic car for hire. In Europe, it's always manual. Have you driven a manual car though? I mean, an automatic car.
Yeah. I had an
Yeah.
automatic car. I had one automatic car, which was a company car about 8 years ago. And it wasn't as much fun as a manual. I think manuals are just much more fun, to be honest.
Oh,
It's a
not
more
when you stall and you can't get up a hill.
No, I mean, if the thing is, like over here, it's just like driving an automatic in the UK is unusual. So the norm is to just learn in a manual. You get a manual license, and then maybe sometimes you'll have an automatic car or drive a hire car that's automatic or whatever. But the norm is just to learn in a manual, and I don't really understand it, to be honest with you. This podcast is turning into Auto Trader, isn't it? It's an Auto Trader official podcast.
Yeah. That's all about me. Have you got a car, Dan?
I did, yeah. Speaking of cars, I just bought one. I got a new set of wheels, and I'm very excited by it because I do enjoy driving, and yeah, it's good to have my freedom. Have you watched any films?
I have watched a couple of films, a TV miniseries, and some comedy specials. What about you? Have you watched some stuff?
I watched a few bits. I found it a bit difficult to get into many films lately, and I was telling you before that I've started about 6 or 7 films, got 10 minutes in, and just turned them off. And I just haven't been in the right mood. But last night I sat down and I watched a new film that's just dropped on Netflix called Love and Monsters. And I must admit, I'd never heard of this, and I just saw it randomly, and it said new on Netflix. And I looked it up on Letterboxd. Had pretty good scores, but I kind of wasn't expecting much from it. And it was really good. It was really, really good. It was very funny. The characters are memorable in it, and it's not as predictable as I was expecting it to be, and it's got some really good effects, some really good creature effects in it.
Yes, I know what you're talking about now.
It's got that bloke in
Cool.
it. Is he a maze runner or something?
That's right. Dylan O'Brien.
Dylan O'Brien. Yeah, it's got him in it, and he's really good in it actually, because he's quite a comedic character, and but he's doing this like narration, and it's quite funny as well how certain scenes are set up, and then the narration sort of interacts with what's going on screen. Hard recommend on that one, mate, especially if you're in a switch your brain off sort of mood. It's a nice little film.
Oh, cool. Yeah, great.
Right, have you got one? Are we playing film tennis? Should we play film tennis? Over to you.
Over to me. I'm going to talk about a mini series that I watched this week called The Little Drummer Girl, who is the same director as Sympathy of Lady of Vengeance.
Oh, Park Chan Wook.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's based in the 70s, and it follows this idealist actress, Charlie, and she pretends to want to be part of, I was going to say kind of like Al Qaeda. I
Okay.
forgot.
Like
But
just
she's,
an extremist kind of
yeah,
organization. Yeah.
yeah. She's been hired to pretend that she used to be the girlfriend of one of these leaders,
Yeah.
just to, find out more information and to find the head of the organization. And it's really good.
Yeah.
It's got Alexander. How do you pronounce his last name? Scarlett. Do you know who I'm
Oh,
talking about?
Alexander Skarsgård.
Skarsgård. That's right. Yeah, it's got Florence Pugh from, what was it? Midsummer, that
Yeah.
we reviewed late last year. It's really good. I would recommend it.
Be interested to see this one then. Is it? When did this come out?
When did this come out? You can find it on Letterboxd. Hopefully, it'll tell you whereabouts you can
Fucking look it up
watch it.
yourself, Dan. That's what that
Yeah.
translation is, isn't it?
That's exactly right. Let me see.
All right.
I think
It's all right. I know where we stand now. Don't worry.
What else have you been watching, Dan?
Oh, back to me.
Oh, back to you.
Train to Busan, that epic
Oh,
zombie movie on a train. Have you seen it?
no, you've was it you or Meech that recommended it to
I
me
think
at
probably
work when we
both
used
of
to do?
us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys were saying for me to watch it, and I haven't watched it yet. It is on my watch list.
Yeah. I get it, mate. I've got like 200 on my watch list on Letterboxd. I just never seem to get round to any of them. But this is what you'll get round to it at some point. But there's a sequel out, and it's called Peninsula, and it's just
Oh.
dropped on Prime in the UK, or about a month ago, if you're listening to this. And it's got a bit of a bashing online and from critics. It's not very good. That's what they say, and I can see why. But I had perhaps maybe my expectations were set low because I'd seen the reception of it. But I really liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. There was some iffy CGI in there, and there was some car chases. And I
Ooh.
didn't realize how much I wanted to see a car chase in a zombie film until I saw that. And
Is it a
it was
zombie
great.
film as well?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
so it's a sequel to it's kind of it's set in the same world as Train to Busan. It's not really a direct sequel. It doesn't share any of the
Right.
same characters, and I won't spoil anything on it. But I just had a really good time with it, and it's not great. It's not it's not brilliant. Um, but if you judge it on the basis of the zombie genre in general, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's a lot of fun. There's some fun to be had there. Some good scenes. Just some of the CGI, I just wish they'd toned down a little bit and maybe got some more practical stuff in there. But budget and all of that stuff.
Hmm.
I'm sure that was the reason that they decided to go down the CGI route. My chair is still squeaking.
I can't hear it.
Can't you? Maybe I'm drawing
No.
attention to it for no reason. Then it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm leaving all this in. Back to you.
Back to me. A new film
Uh-huh.
that's come out on Prime. So it's a 2021 or 2020 film. It's called The Mauritanian.
Yeah, I've heard of this. Benedict Cumberbatch and there's a few big
Jodie
name actors
Foster's
in
in
there. But
it. Charlene, is it Shailene Woodley? The
yep.
what series was she part of?
I don't know.
Divergent,
Probably
Divergent
the maze.
series.
Yeah, probably that one.
So it's based on a true story about one of the guys who got accused for organizing the Twin Tower the terrorist attack at
Yeah.
9/11, and he was at Guantanamo for many years without getting a court case. So it's based on that story, and I thought it was quite good. I enjoyed it.
This is one of those 200 films that are on my watch list on Letterboxd. I think it
Is
looks
it on
quite good,
Prime for
actually.
you as well? I think.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it
a
a?
fairly new one on Prime. So that's a recommend.
That is a recommend. Something I wouldn't recommend is Thunder Force.
Oh no! Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck! Fuck!
Did you have a stitch up for me?
Yes. Oh, I thought I was being so clever. You screwed it up for me.
It was
Go on.
okay.
Okay.
It was just like for one of Melissa McCarthy's films. Like I didn't mind Spy, but compared that to Spy, it was just meh. It wasn't that great.
Okay.
I thought
I've heard some
yeah.
terrible things about it.
I just added it to my list just now, and I was like, I want to see what the reviews are like. Is it just me? And then I was like, okay, no, it isn't. It's got terrible reviews.
It's proper bad. I'm never fucking watching this film, but I watched the review about it last night, and Jason Bateman is a crab man.
Yeah. Oh, that's weird. Oh. And like Melissa McCarthy's character, like I think it's like right at the end, they're making some dinner together and they're feeding each other raw chicken. Oh, it's weird.
Okay.
Get that picture in your head, listeners.
And it's like a teenager's action comedy sort of thing, right? Like a 12A sort of film.
Kind of.
Or is it more adult?
It's supposed to be more adult.
Is it? Okay.
They're
but they put a crab man in it.
Yeah.
What is Jason Bateman? It's
how
right there.
he
He should be Batman. I don't know why. It's right there. Remove the E, and Bateman becomes Batman. Fuck! I can't believe you chose to watch Thunder Force, mate. I thought I was being so clever as well, because I was considering what to put on Stitch Up for you this week, and I just happened to see a review. It popped up, and it said it was awful, and I thought, great, I'll put a Stitch Up for you. It's new. It's definitely on Netflix. All relevant, and you fucking watched it already. So I've got to something else.
That's all right. There's plenty of other shit films out there.
Yes. A film that many people consider to be shit, but I really love, is called Mortal Kombat, and I watched that this week. It's a great film. It's proper cheesy.
How long has that been out for? Was there a new one coming out as well?
About 26 years.
This
one came out. This one came out in 1995.
Oh,
and then
right.
There's a new one coming out, and then they made a sequel to that in 97, which was awful. And now they're doing another one. Warner Brothers are releasing another one this month. It's maybe tomorrow or sometime in April. It's probably already out by the time this episode airs. But yes, they're doing it again, and I don't think the trailer for the new one looked that great. But I'll go and watch it, and it could still be a bit of fun. The 1995 version is not a good film. Don't get me wrong. It's pretty horrible in places, and I can totally understand people not enjoying it. But I probably saw it at the right age. You put it on Stitch Up for me. It's great. I love it. I love it.
Disregard putting that on Stitch Up.
What I mean to say is I can't stand Mortal Kombat. It's such a terrible, terrible film. My last one was Bill and Ted Face the Music, which I've been desperate to watch. Well, not that desperate, because it's been out for ages and I haven't watched it till now. But I didn't want to pay like 15 quid to watch it, so it's now like a £5. It was on Amazon, and I thought I'd treat myself. No, not yet. Probably very soon. But I just got patient, and I wanted to watch it. And I thought I'd treat myself, and it was good. I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. It's my least favourite of the three, for sure. but it's enjoyable and it made me laugh, and it gave me the warm and fuzzies, sort of revisiting those characters, and it was kind of just like a safe film to watch that kind of reminded me of my youth a little bit, and was funny and quite warm and quite nice too. So yeah, probably the perfect film for me the last couple of weeks.
When we did it, was it a time loop quiz? You came up as Bill. Yeah.
Did I?
Was it Bill or
S.
Ted?
Preston Esquire. I
Yeah,
can't
that's
remember
right.
now.
Bill.
I was Bill or I
Yeah, it
was
was
Ted.
Bill.
Yeah.
I was
I'll be
Ted.
happy
You
with
were
either of
Bill.
them. You were Ted. Yeah.
Which one's which?
Oh, do you know what we should do? Is we should do some artwork with me and you as Bill and Ted. There's like cartoon characters, cartoon versions of us, but in a Bill and Ted costume in front of a phone booth. Let's speak to an artist. How does that work though? Do you sit on Zoom and they paint you for 2 hours, or do they copy a photo? Yeah.
No, they copy a photo.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
You just give them. Well, I mean, depends if you want to sit on Zoom for that many hours.
Not really. No.
just posing, like it's the royal family.
Yeah.
Doing a pose.
The royal family. Oh, you had to mention the royal family, didn't you? Oh. One of them's dead. Let's move on. That's all that's in the fucking news.
Not here. I didn't even know. I honestly didn't know. Well, I heard about it. About it through work. It might be. I bet it was house sitting last week, so I didn't really watch the news.
Yeah.
I only found out about it like a day or two ago. I was like, oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah, because I heard that Harry came back home for the funeral.
Yeah.
And Meghan is still in the States because she's, currently pregnant.
Is she?
Like,
she can't fly.
She can't fly, apparently.
Right.
Well,
it's been everywhere over here, and don't get me wrong, like anyone dying is a horrible thing. I don't know. It's I don't get it. I don't get the fascination with this one person. Why I don't know. Everyone's just so humble about it on news reports. They're like, and it's horrific to report.
It's more like that with British as well. No,
is it? Well, I don't know. I don't know what it's like.
I feel like you Brits are like really passionate when it comes to a royal family.
It's funny because, in my experience, we're not. Like, I don't think I've ever really met anyone that's that passionate about the royal family. Yeah, maybe some people have got a certain level of respect for them.
Yeah.
But as a general rule, yeah, it's in my circles anyway, and my circles are small. I mean,
didn't you say one time that you had like some royal family crockery in your house? Like, that's so British.
Yeah, I suppose. My nan had some queenie cups, and I think that's what they call them, kingy plates. I think maybe it's just a generational thing, and it's sort of starting to die out. Maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
It will be interesting to see what happens in the future, because, as I say, like, anyone dying is a tragedy, and like, it's horrible. I don't want to make light of it at all. It's just like we're all in the same boat. Do you know what I mean? And I just find it a bit odd that is so reported on. I don't know, and also, like, I can't imagine going through that grief as a human being, and also having a camera pointed in my face at all times. I think that must be fucking horrible.
Yeah.
How do you even get through stuff when that's happening? That must be like the worst.
I would hate to either be royal or to be like a celebrity to the point that you're papped constantly. Because there are celebrities that don't get as much attention. But
it's odd, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's an odd thing, that fame thing, and the royals is just this whole new level of it just feels weird and out of place for me in this quote unquote modern world that we supposedly live in. But why are we talking about the monarchy? How did that happen? I don't know how that happened. That's very weird.
I somehow brought it up. I can't remember. This episode is not about the royal family. It's about prison.
It is. It couldn't be further removed from the royal family, could it really? Because none of the royal family would be going to prison, despite their actions. Let's move on from that thread, shall we? Have you got any other films or stuff that you've
No, I think
Watched lately?
I'm gonna move on. I'm happy to
Yeah,
move.
let's do it. Let's move on to phase 2, which is
Phase
where we
número
discuss
dos.
numéro dos, or deux, en
Deux.
français, et deux.
Deux.
Prison movies, Lady Vengeance, Escape from Alcatraz. My choice of theme, which means that I am doing the topic intro. And this week, I've got a little quiz in the form of some questions, what I'm going to ask you. There are 29 questions, okay? So just like...
Fuck off.
I will not. The quiz. So 29 questions. And at the end of the quiz, we're going to find out what kind of criminal you are, Nicole.
Oh.
So potentially
this
quite a revealing
is gonna be
quiz.
so funny. Oh, I'm ready to go.
I did this quiz yesterday because I was struggling to know what to do, I'll be honest with you. And I just Googled it and I found this quiz. And it was pretty good. I burned through it pretty quickly, so I'll try and do the same with you. And I'll tell you what my
Chill.
result was at the end as well.
Right.
Are you ready? Prisoner 142.
142 prisoner is ready to go.
Prisoner 142, we're about to embark on the quiz.
Oh.
Question number 1. If you embarked on a life of crime, what's the first thing you'd want to steal? A car, a painting, $1 million, or a sandwich?
Just for shits and gigs, I'm almost tempted to say a sandwich. No.
We've got 29 of these questions.
Probably $1 million, I'm going to say.
I'm taking your first answer. Whatever you say first is getting clicked.
Oh, a sandwich.
Question number 2. When you were little, what did you get in trouble for the most? Throwing temper tantrums, lying, taking things that weren't yours, refusing to share with others, or I almost never got in trouble. I was pretty well behaved.
Oh, probably taking something that wasn't mine.
Stealing! Thief! Caught ya!
Yeah, thief.
Right, I'm taking that answer. Question number 3. What would your hideout... I've drunk too much coffee this morning. What would your hideout be? An abandoned warehouse, a storefront that I run with my family. I don't need a hideout. The cops will never catch me. Or my own private island.
The cops will never find me.
Very confident. Come on, question number 4. Let's load up, please.
Do 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 do.
Do 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 do. Oh, here we go. Right. If you were a criminal, would you work alone or be part of a team? I would work alone. A team. I don't do teams.
It would depend on what the crime was. I'm going to say alone.
I would work alone. In a life of crime, there's no one
Yes.
that you can trust but yourself. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
would say too. Nick, how would you
Yeah.
escape prison? Escape? I don't need to escape. I was never caught. I would come up with an elaborate plan that required a toothpick, guard's uniform, and a raisin. A raisin. The members of my team would break me out.
Oh, was
wanna know
was
what's
that the
happening with this raisin.
question?
Yeah, that was it, mate.
I reckon the raisin, because
Yeah,
I think it
it's
will
got to be the raisin, isn't it?
bring in the little mouse that will. The mice will come in and do all the hard yards to get me out
Yeah.
of the prison.
If you were a criminal, what would you call yourself? The Mysterious X, the Shadow, the Jester, or you just use your normal name?
What was the second one?
The
I think
Shadow.
that was the one. The shadow. The shadow. Why not?
Yeah, it's the coolest sounding, isn't it? It's the most like Alec Baldwin. Come on. I'm starting to regret this quiz. 29 of these. Still got 22 to go. Right, what would be your ultimate goal as a criminal? To rule the world, to make money for me and all my friends and family, or to have fun?
To make money for me and my family.
You believe that crime doesn't pay, is a means to an end, or is subjective?
The first one.
Crime doesn't pay unless it does. Come on, question number 9.
Yes.
Where are you? We're waiting for you. Question number 9. How much can we fill of this audio so I don't have to edit it out? Da-da. Question number 9. What's your favourite kind of weather? Grey, cloudy and light rain, sunshine and cloudless sky, thunderstorms or snow?
Sunny with a chance of
Sunshine
meatballs.
on a cloudy day. There is sunshine. Question number 10. Oh, we almost made that one. Finish this
Let's do
sentence.
it
It's
all
all fun and
again.
games until somebody gets hurt, calls your mama, screws up everything, or rats you out to the cops.
Calls your mother.
Have you ever been in a physical fight? Nicole, yes or no?
I've got in between a fight and stopped it from happening. Well, does that count?
I don't know. I don't know what the barometer
I've
is
been
for
in a fight.
if you're in a fight or not.
Let's just say no.
Should I just pop to Lou and then I'll come back in a minute? Let's say no. Let's say no. Have you ever met anyone in person that you initially met online? Well, we all know the answer to this question.
Yes.
Who hasn't?
Let's not go back to that story.
Question number 15. Coming right up. Yeah, notice how we're just moving on from that question.
Yeah.
Every villain needs a mascot. Choose which pet you'd most like to have. A snake, a pit bull,
Echidna.
a Rottweiler, a rat, a Doberman, or a fluffy bunny. A what?
A fluffy. An echidna. There's not that option?
A what?
It's an Aussie animal. Let's go rabbit. It's nothing like an echidna, but that's fine.
I'll take your word for it. A fluffy bunny. Question number 17. You're hiding from the cops. What's the safest place for you to hide? My mum's house, an abandoned lot, my underground lair, or my best friend's house?
An underground lair.
When you're driving, do you get nervous when you see a policeman? No, not at all, or always.
Yeah, that's true. No. I do get... Do I get... I know, kind of, when you see a police car, you do feel a little bit sus.
Only people that have got something to feel guilty about feel that, mate. Question number 19. 10 more to go. We're getting there. Have you ever gotten a traffic ticket? Never. 1 or 2, 3 to 6, or more than 6.
I'll say between the 3 mark.
3 to 6.
Cheeky. Yeah.
All right, that's quite a respectable
sounds
number.
right.
Question number 20.
I've never lost my license.
Moving on. Choose your favourite recording artist. Eminem, Jay-Z, or Kanye West.
Kanye.
Which of the following actors would you want to play you in a movie about your life? Kevin Spacey or Julia Roberts? Russell Crowe or Reese Witherspoon? Leonardo DiCaprio or Claire Danes, or Selena Gomez or Justin Long? And I guess that they've got those in depending on whether you're a male or a female.
Julia Roberts.
Julia Roberts. Right, question number 22. You and your boyfriend or girlfriend just broke up. What's the most likely reason? I was always too busy to hang out. My insane jealousy issues. I'm too negative. I keep getting arrested. I lie a lot. He or she just doesn't get me. I forgot how personal these questions got, I must admit.
I keep getting arrested for stealing too many glasses at the pub.
Yes, for robbing the glasses. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Question number 23. Do you tend to have more long-lasting relationships or short, fleeting ones? Long and lasting or short and sweet, baby?
Long lasting.
Right, question number 24. Do you get along with your parents and family members? Yes, no, sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Yes.
Yeah. You got to say yes, really, ain't you?
I mean, Mum doesn't listen to the podcast. It's all right.
Yeah, none of my family do either. Get a way of saying whatever we want. Question 25. If you get upset with friends, will you tell them or do you avoid confrontation? I tell them, I avoid confrontation and pretend I'm fine. I ghost them and act like they never existed.
I'll go with the first one.
You tell them that you've got beef. Question number 26. Do you have a short, explosive temper, or is your anger more of the slow burning kind? Short and explosive, slow to burn, or somewhere in the middle? Slow to burn.
It's a slow burn.
Burn, baby, burn. Disco, burn, burn, disco, burn. Disco. We should do a disco episode. Double disco movies. There we go. We got the name for it. Double disco. Mystery Men. Right, question number 27, going off topic. That's my fault. How much time do you spend on a computer every day? A few hours, more than a few hours. I never get off unless it's to sleep.
The second one. I mean, my work is based on a computer.
That's all you do, isn't it? Right, 2 more to go. We're nearly there.
Ooh.
Question 28. Does something illegal give you a rush? Yes or no?
Yes.
It's a rush.
Yeah.
Can you feel that rush? When you steal that
I'm gonna
glass
get
from the
arrested
pub,
one day, and they're gonna
did
be
that
like,
give you a rush?
Ooh.
Exhibit 102, Twin Peaks Podcast, episode 72. Nicole admitted to stealing several glasses. How do you plead?
Not guilty.
Sustained. Last question.
Yes.
In just one word, how would your closest friends describe you given the following options? Smart, daring, secretive, loyal, sensitive, or evil, like the devil. Evil.
Daring.
Derek? Oh, daring. Daring.
Daring. Derek?
Yeah, your friends would describe you as Derek. Right, daring.
That is my middle name.
Is it?
No.
Right, it's the results are happening. I've got a little spinny wheel happening, and the results are in.
Ooh, what type of criminal am I?
You are the mastermind.
Oh,
Right?
fuck.
So you call all of the shots. You come up with all of the plans, and you're always one step ahead of the police. Your brains are your greatest strength. You think circles around everyone else. All the other criminals would be lost or in jail. So you're the mastermind, mate, and everyone relies on you because you are the one to go to sort shit out. You're a mastermind. You're 44% a mastermind. And you're 8% just misunderstood, apparently. You're 14% a computer hacker. Like Fisher Stevens from Hackers. What was I? I was a supervillain. I was very happy with my result, I've got to be honest. I was very happy, yeah. That was quite a fun little quiz when I was doing it.
That was fun.
We'll see how it comes out when I edit it down, because there were a lot of questions there, so I might not keep all of those in. I might end up whipping a few of those out. I'm probably going for about 15, 20 minutes there. And I think our intros are starting to get longer than our actual film reviews. So it's not great, is it? Filling time, as Movie Joan would say. Filler.
Yeah.
Que sera,
Bit
sera.
of filler. All right.
Shall we move on to our films?
Yes. What are we going to talk about first, Dan?
I'd like to start with Lady Vengeance first. It was the first one I watched. I know this as Sympathy for Lady Vengeance. I think it was just released as Lady Vengeance. I think there's a couple of names for it out there. It came out in 2005. It was directed by Park Chan-wook, and Park Chan-wook had also directed Old Boy, which came out in 2003, and Mr. Vengeance, which came out in 2002. But I chose this one because it was, I went on Letterboxd, and it was sort of in a prison list, in a prison movies list.
Yes.
But right out of the gate, I suppose I'll say it's not really a prison movie, is it?
No. They're briefly in a prison.
Yeah, and there's kind of peppered with
for
prison scenes throughout the film, but it's not primarily based in a prison. And if I'd have known that, I probably wouldn't have picked it, because I was trying to actively pick prison movies. The budget was 4.5 million, and the box office was 23.8 million. There are two versions of this film.
Yes.
There's the one where, apparently when it gets to the happy
black.
birthday scene, it goes to black and white. Yeah.
It dips to black and white when they get to the school and things start happening there. So you watched the full color version?
I watched the full color version, yeah. Or at least I think it was full color, because I watched a thing on YouTube afterwards that mentioned that there are two versions of it.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, I don't specifically remember it being in color, so there's a chance that it could have switched to black and white, and I just didn't notice it. But yeah, I thought it was during a happy birthday scene. But which one did you watch then?
I watched the one that dipped to black and white.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So at least we watched a version each of it. Right, so let's do the tagline then. All she wanted was a peaceful life. They didn't give it. Synopsis. After a 13-year imprisonment for the kidnap and murder of a 6-year-old boy, beautiful Lee Guam Ja, and I'm definitely screwing up that name, so apologies.
Unja.
Gumja starts seeking revenge on the man that was really responsible for the boy's death. With the help of fellow inmates and reunited with her daughter, she gets closer and closer to her goal. But will her actions lead to the relief she seeks? Spoilers, not really. Did I like this film? Yeah, I thought this. Straight away, I'm going to say I thought it was pretty good. It kept me fairly engaged the whole way through, but I wasn't super engaged.
Right.
There was some really beautiful stuff in it. There was some really fucking like weird stuff as well, and
Yeah.
I don't usually like I try and ask you or we like try and describe a favorite scene. I could probably give you the top 3 most harrowing scenes in this film because there's some
Go on.
pretty grim stuff in this that's quite hard
Yeah.
to stomach and watch. I think I'll start with a weird one. Half dog, half human head
Yeah.
man.
This is
Dream.
the dream. This is the dream scene. Yeah. Yeah.
I rewound that.
It's very weird.
It was an odd scene, but interesting. Don't get me wrong; it was visually very interesting and just a bit odd and like body horror-ish, very Cronenbergian, if that's a term. Obviously, there's the really hard stuff with the child murder films.
Yes. There was a really good cut scene actually.
Yeah.
In that shot. So they're showing footage. I think she purposely cuts out the actual killing bit. It's more of the tormenting of the children.
Yeah.
There's this one scene of a little girl on a chair and it's about to collapse. And as that happens, her grandmother falls on the ground. So that was a really nice cut scene to that.
Yeah, that was beautifully done actually, like now you mention it. And to be honest, I wouldn't use the term enjoyed, but that's all of that stuff with the parents in the room as well when they've got the person responsible for the child kidnapping ring, they've got him in a room and towards the end. And Grimjar has kind of presented this person to all of the parents of the kids that have been murdered, kidnapped and murdered. And it's just a very interesting, they have a bit of a discussion around it. And it's not, we've got this guy, he's killed and our kids, he's killed our kids. And what do we do with him?
Yeah.
What do we do with him? Do we kill him? Is it right to kill him? Are we within our rights to kill him? Is it our responsibility to kill him? Is he going to do this to other people?
Yeah.
And it was an interesting moral discussion. But yeah, spoilers, they murder him. They all go and take one at a time, go and stab him, didn't they? A little bit. They go and stab him a little bit, and he ends up being a dead person.
And the grandmother is the last person to kill him and puts a pair of scissors into his spine. Ugh.
Brutal. It was kind of really beautifully shot in places as well, and I really enjoyed some of the flair. There were some like moving pictures within like photo frames and that sort of thing, which I thought was really cool. There was a scene that transitioned from just like a regular scene, and then it transitioned to a locker, and that scene ended up being on the locker, and she like opened the locker door, and it's very hard to explain, and I'm sure there's a technical term for it which I totally don't know.
I can't remember this scene.
But yeah, there were some really nice kind of moving photographs, if that's the right term, sort of images in this, and that was really cool, and it just looks really nice as well. Some of the transitions, like if she'd have a bit of a nap on the floor, transition into her dreaming and kind of living out a bit of a fantasy. And
well, the tofu as well. Kind of. So when she gets out of jail, this priest comes, to welcome her back in the community with a choir that are in Santa Claus outfits.
Yeah.
And apparently the tofu symbolizes like purity, that you will never sin again, and all your sins are gone. And she just tips the tofu on the ground, and then as that happens, a musical instrument hits the ground. Forgot what it's called. But that was a really nice cut scene as well.
Yeah.
There were two that really stood out for me.
And it's interesting because it kind of ends on the tofu moment as well, doesn't it? Because it's kind of it's films. I'd never thought I'd say this phrase before, but this film is bookended by the appearance of a tofu on a plate. And in the first one, as you say, she rejects it because it's meant to resent this sin-free life, and she just tips the plate on the floor. Fuck off!
Yeah.
Don't need your tofu, your sin-free life. I've got some revenge to implement. And at the end of it, I guess she's kind of seeking redemption, firstly, by going after this guy and presenting him to the parents. But it doesn't give her the peace that she's seeking, as we kind of find out through her. I guess it was a fantasy where she imagines the little boy that died, and he's a grown-up now. She can't find her peace. So it ends with her consuming this tofu, I guess, and I assume agreeing to a sin-free
It's a cake, isn't it?
Is it a cake? I thought it was a tofu.
No, I think it's
Nah,
it's a tofu.
It's got to be a tofu.
It's a cake.
What, the final cake?
You can't think. Oh, I was going to say you can't finger a bit of tofu.
Jason Biggs would disagree with you.
It's a tofu-like cake, but it's a cake, and she sticks her face in the cake.
Yeah.
Which I thought it was pretty funny.
I'm pretty sure it's meant to be a tofu. It might have actually been a cake, like the set deck or whatever, or art department or whatever, may well have made it a cake, but I'm pretty sure it's meant to be a tofu. If it ain't, they missed a fucking trick there, didn't they? I'm sure Park Chan-wook intended it to be a tofu, mate.
Whatever.
But yeah, it's so it wasn't really a prison movie, but the kind of, I guess what I would say is the prison stuff is kind of very relevant in terms of they kind of use the prison flashbacks to explore her character and explain what she was doing throughout the years, and she was kind of making plans for her revenge all along, and everyone comes back into her life in the present day, and it goes back and explains their interaction in prison. And it's quite good flashbacks because it sort of serves to explain who she is and what her plan is. So I will say, like, for the first, I would say 20 minutes, half an hour, I didn't know what was going on. I was so all over the place and confused. And I didn't know whether we were in present day or whether we were in prison, and it was just difficult to keep up with. But by the end, it did all tie together for me, and I think I did pretty much get everything. So it was good that it did kind of tie together, because if it had ended and I still didn't have a clue what was going on, it would have been a bit of a misfire for me. But it was quite nicely done, and it bubbled along as well. It didn't drag at all. I was kind of interested to see how it ended, but it's not something I would kind of go back and revisit, probably because it's like how disturbing it is in places. It's just not the sort of thing I want to consume very often.
Would you call it quite art house? It's quite art house in a way.
It's just a bit grim. Yeah, I suppose it's quite art house, but it's just a bit grim. You know, I haven't seen the other two films in that trilogy, and Old Boy is something I've been meaning to watch for the longest time. But I know how that ends, so I'm kind of like, yeah, I'm not really in that much of a hurry to watch it. But yeah, for me, this one it was pretty good. It was pretty good. We've done worse. We've done better.
We've done worse, yeah.
We've done much worse. We have done much worse, Grandy Magazzini. Have you got anything else that you want to say on Lady Vengeance?
No, I think we've got pretty much the gist of the film.
Okay, I'm at a 7.5. So it's a pretty good score. It's pretty good. It's
pretty good.
It's not bad. It's like midway between 5 and 10. I don't need to explain how scoring works. That's why you give it a score. What did you score this, Nicole?
Oh, I'm going to give this an 8.4.
8.4. Wow. Okay, we're going to decimals into that much detail, are we? We're not going to round it up to 8.5.
No, can't be bothered.
8.4. So you're almost a point more than me. So it sounds like you enjoyed it a little bit more than me. So good pick.
Good pick, yeah. Something different.
It was. Do you know what? It was actually quite nice to do something a bit different. And I am definitely going to watch Old Boy at some point within the next 15 years. Shall we move on then to Escape from Alcatraz, which was a prison movie?
Mm,
It was actually a prison movie. And
yeah,
this film came out in 1979. And I will say that it felt older than 1979 to me, but 1979 doesn't
agree.
feel that long ago in my head, but really it was fucking ages ago. It was directed by Don Siegel, who also directed Dirty Harry, Evasion of the Body Snatchers, 1956, and Play Misty for Me. The budget was $8 million and it grossed $43 million, according to the Googles. And it's another Clint Eastwood film. We did Clint Eastwood directed film a couple of weeks ago with American Sniper, and this time Clint Eastwood is in it. He was in this one as a prisoner.
Yeah.
Right, Escape from Alcatraz. Let's do the tagline then. No one has ever escaped from Alcatraz, and no one ever will. Synopsis. San Francisco Bay, January 18th, 1960. 1960. Too much coffee. Frank Lee Morris is transferred to Alcatraz, a maximum security prison located on a rocky island. Although no one has ever managed to escape from there, Frank and other inmates begin to carefully prepare an escape plan. It's a prison movie. It's a
It
proper
is a prison.
prison movie.
I was very bored by this film.
Well, I was going to try and start with a positive. But also I couldn't shake the feeling that I just wanted to get out of my system that I was quite bored by this as well. It was very slow.
It was very slow.
Yeah, right? And that's why I said that it felt older than it was. It felt like it just felt a lot older. It was very slow. The first act just went on forever for me. The first 40 minutes, I was just like, come on. There was barely any score. We just kind of dropped into this prison as well, and you don't really get any backstory on who these people are. And it's just all a bit of sort of situational stuff in the first act, which up until the 40 minutes, I thought this is going to be a real drag. After that, it picked up for me. Not a great deal, but it definitely got more interesting. But yeah,
once
mate,
they
when
started,
it's slow,
once they started, figuring out how to escape, then it started to slightly pick up.
Well,
But before that,
it was, mate. It was a drag, wasn't it? Well, I'm glad that you say that as well, because I thought maybe it was just me, and I think the general reception is quite good on this. I think there was some weird stuff in this, but there was the scene that I liked the most was, so they're doing this working in this wood shop, some carpentry work, and just prior to that scene, we'd seen the prison guards doing target practice in full view of the prisoners. And that was a really nice way of kind of building up some tension and some drama, because there was one thing I would say about this film as well is it didn't really present the prison as that much of a bad place, in my opinion. Like, from what I've heard, Alcatraz was a pretty horrific prison, and the film just didn't do a good job at showing how fucking horrific it was to me, and it didn't really for me as a viewer, explain why they were so motivated to get out. But that one scene did build some tension for me, and it led on to the scene in the workshop. So I was kind of quite tightly wound by that point. So when the prisoner who'd just been revoked his painting privileges, kind of in protest, raised the axe and chopped off a couple of his fingers. And I don't know if that's true. That was the most powerful and most interesting scene for me. And then after that, it kind of ramped up a little bit. Yeah. And as I said, I don't know if that scene was real or not.
Well, he didn't actually cut his fingers off on the actual film.
Well, no, I would hope not.
Oh.
I hope health and safety was a little bit reliable back then. It was the 70s, I know, but as a minimum, I would hope that people's fingers aren't being chopped off.
I did like the prosthetic, or I don't know if they used prosthetics or what they used. You could tell how fake it was when they came off.
Yeah, I would say once or twice I noticed where some of the transitions felt a bit too quick for me. There was some like fade into other scenes where someone was talking, but then it would cut, the scene would start cutting, and I don't know, it felt all a bit sort of too quick for me, and I wondered if they just didn't get enough coverage on a day.
I think that's also why it looks like an older film than what it actually is.
Yeah.
Things like that, as well as the racial stuff in it, which
Yeah.
felt very uncomfortable.
Agreed. There was one particular thing in it where I'm glad you brought it up, because I probably wouldn't have brought it up, and I'm not going to repeat what the line was, but it was very weird, and I think you know what I'm talking about. It was odd. I
Yeah.
didn't get really why that line.
The banter between Morris and English was just meh.
It was a bit odd. It was a bit weird.
Yeah.
It was definitely a product of its time. I've seen worse, don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but
Agree.
it's still not a great thing to watch this day and age. And coupled with that, with it just not being that interesting, I think the true story is more interesting than this film. I did watch documentary about the true story of it afterwards,
Right.
and the documentary wasn't very good either. But the actual, so I was pretty fucked really this week. But the story of it is fascinating. And while I was watching the Clint Eastwood one, when they were painting up, like the escape stuff was quite fun. You know, they're welding in their cell and they're making paper mache versions of their own heads and getting hair from the barber shop and all of that stuff. While I was watching it, I was thinking, this is crazy. There's no way this is real. Like, this is made up for the film. But then when I watched the documentary, they're like, yeah, that was all real. I thought, fucking hell, like, I couldn't believe it. So I guess one of my criticisms while I was watching it was a little bit far-fetched, but I'd have to remove that criticism, because it wasn't far-fetched. It was just fetched. It all happened, or that particular thing did anyway. But yeah, I think the true story and what happened afterwards, did they escape, didn't they escape, because they don't explore that in the film. It just kind of ends with them getting out after having climbed all over the gaff.
Yeah. Would you have wanted more to see? Well, I guess like in the real day and age, we assume that they've drowned, but there's no bodies to have. There was no bodies to recover that have been recovered.
No, and still to this day, the bodies have never been recovered, and the men have never popped up anywhere either. But the on the documentary I watched, which was narrated by Danny Trejo, which was a very random choice, it was, what they said was someone on their deathbed had confessed to being on the boat that picked up the prisoners just outside of Alcatraz. And what they did is the prisoners had raised $50,000 or $60,000 between their families to help with the escape. But what these people wanted that were picking them up is they wanted to steal that money. So they murdered the prisoners, of which there were 3 by that point, apparently. So the story goes. And they buried them. And this guy on his deathbed explained all of the story, said, I feel really bad about it. I don't want to die without having confessed to this crime. We nicked the money. We killed these people. This is what he says. And the bodies are buried roughly in this area. And they narrowed it down to an area the size of a football field. But because many years have passed, the landscape has changed, ground movement, budget cuts, resources, they've just never excavated that area, because I guess there's not really much reason to now. They're either alive or they're not. If they're alive, they're very old. But it did strike me as like the documentary kind of ended and went, oh, we still don't really know what happened. But if someone's on their deathbed saying it, I tend to believe it. Or what? I don't get why really your last.
Some people
your
take
last thing to
gag out
say.
of it.
I suppose so. The last thing you ever do would be just to try and screw with people, I guess.
Yeah.
Some people might be that way inclined, but it feels a bit, I don't know, I'd be inclined to believe that, to be honest, in the absence of any other evidence anyway, certainly.
I like that story better.
I do too. They should explore that story, I think, in a sequel to Escape from Alcatraz. It was all right. It was all right. I didn't hate this film. There definitely have been worse ones that I've seen. By the end of it, I enjoyed all the escape stuff, but that opening 40 minutes let it down for me. 6.5.
I'm giving this a 5.5. I'll never watch this film ever again.
No, I won't either.
I'm done with this film.
You're done with Escape from Alcatraz.
Yeah.
As am I, my friend. So shall we move on to the next part then, where you've got to announce what theme you're choosing for the next one? As I chose prisoner theme, you've got to choose the next one, mate. So what are you going to go for our episode 73 picks and episode 74 featured films? What's the theme going to be?
The theme is going to be Spanish cinema.
Spanish cinema. Okay.
Espanol.
Interesting. So we'll talk about that more in the next episode. The final section is Stitch Up. It's phase 3.
Yes.
As I explained earlier, I lost the poll by a landslide and I had to watch Legally Blondes, which stars Rebecca and Camilla Rosso as actual twin blonde young women.
Get out of town.
Yeah, you've seen the poster. I watched this last night. As I explained earlier, I sent you a picture on WhatsApp just to prove that I actually did it. So the setup of Legally Blondes it's a spin-off to the Legally Blonde 1 and 2. It's set in the same universe as Legally Blonde 1 and 2. The main characters are cousins of Elle Woods, the main character from Legally Blonde 1 and 2. And these ones are called Rebecca, or no, they're not. That's their real names. What are their real names? Have I written this down? Have I forgotten to write down their actual names?
Dan, did you really watch this film? Did you just take a photo of the top
I've just
first
remembered.
bit of the
I've just remembered they're called Annie and Lizzie, and if they ain't, then I don't care. They're called Annie and Lizzie, right? So these twins, they moved to LA. They're British, and the opening scenes are set in this fictional place called Kentfield in, I suppose, London, and you've got traditional London buses, and they're very British. Their accent is so stereotypically British that I thought that they were American putting on a British accent, but they are actually British. It's pretty striking. I don't know why, and I felt that there was a lot of over the top acting in this from almost everybody. Only maybe one or two of the cast toned it down a little bit, but everybody else was so over the top. So I can only imagine that it was a direction and part of kind of their vision and what they wanted to achieve. It is a kids' film, so you've got to kind of accept that and expect it. But I did watch Legally Blonde back in the day. I never saw the sequel, and from what I remember, I don't think it was for me, but I thought it was all right for what it was, from what I remember. Yeah. This is not, though. This is horrifically bad. This is awful. I don't know. I've got no other words for it, really, other than awful, horrific, a huge waste of time. I mean, 31 minutes. I told you what happened. They moved to LA. That's it. There is more stuff.
It?
No, there's okay. So they're going to this school called Pacific Preparatory School or something, and I'm led to believe it's the same school from the first movie. So the principal has got this beef with Elle Woods, and as far as the principal is concerned, these two young blonde women are also carbon copies of Elle Woods, and I don't know, it feels like they're probably recycling some old themes from the first movie about judging people on their appearances, etc. But it doesn't do any of that successfully. It feels like they're trying, but they're not really succeeding. However, the twins, they go to the school, and to try and fit in with everybody else and all of the popular kids, they pretend that they're there because their parents, they pretend that they're there because their mum's dead already. She died in an earlier part of their lives. They are pretending that they got there because their parents paid for them to go there, because it's embarrassing to admit that you've got a scholarship and your parents have got no money. So they're pretending to be rich to the rich kids. Their dad slips up, though. He lets the cat right out the bag, and he tells the popular kids that they're on a scholarship. So the cat's out the bag. The popular kids shun the twins. So what do the twins do? They become friends with the nerds. They go up to the nerds. They're like, "We're really sorry that we've been huge twats. Can we be your mates now?" And they're like, "Yeah, all right then." So they put a few colourful patches on their school uniforms. Somebody steals a thing, And then there's a mock trial because somebody frames the twins for stealing a thing. And there's a mock trial where they're discussing the crime because it's a law thing. The teachers and the parents are at this investigation stroke mock trial thing, and the kids are defending themselves, and it's ridiculous. It's very strange. And it's weird that, like, one of the kids in this is the CEO. The kid is, I don't really know how that works, but the kid is a CEO of a tech company called Uber. And this came out in 2009. And I think that might have been before Uber. I don't know. Maybe Uber were around at that time. It certainly would have been early Uber days. From this point forward, I'm going to assume that Uber stole the name from Legally Blondes, and I'm never looking it up. There's the most annoying thing in this is I don't, despite this section being called Stitch Up, and us, the whole point of it is us kind of laying into a film that's not very good. I still try to find some positives in this, but I really, really can't. The one thing I wrote down as a positive was it was colourful. There was a lot of pink and yellows in it.
What does pink stand for?
I don't know.
If you wear pink?
Oh,
pink shirt?
If you wear pink, you are 35% more likely to start a franchise.
Yeah. That's why you were attracted to this film.
Probably subconsciously, yeah. I'm always attracted to pink now. Yeah, I mean, I've mentioned the cast doing it over the top. There is some. Look, this is a little bit of British insight that I can offer as a British person. In it, they when they're in the American school, they say, oh, one of the characters says, oh, I faff around on a computer a bit. And the American kid goes, what do you mean by faff around? And they go, oh, we faff around, we dabble a bit. That is not what faff means. Faff does not mean to dabble. To dabble is something else entirely. To faff is to faff. There is that. To dabble and faff are two entirely different things.
Explain.
So that annoyed me a bit. So to dabble. So to dabble, we're dabbling in a podcast. We record a podcast from time to time. We're dabbling in the podcast world. Sometimes we record too much and we faff around a bit with our discussion, and we have to cut it down, edit it down because we faff around a little bit, especially when we're trying to get set up. Completely different. I think things like that are kind of a bare minimum. I think there are a few kind of British colloquialisms that they were trying to squeeze in there, which they just didn't get at all. And the most annoying thing in this was the flip and wave. This is an audio medium, so I ain't going to get away with doing the flip and the wave that they do. Yeah. I'm doing it now because you can see me, but they do a little, they flick their hair and they wave, and they call it a flip and the wave. And there's one scene where they do it 4 or 5 times in a row to shopkeeper, because it's like their thing that they try to do to everybody to get their own way, to get discounts on clothes and so on and so forth. This one shopkeeper's like, nah, fuck off, I'm not giving you a discount. And I was just like, thank God. But they did that so much, and it was pretty bad. This film was fucking terrible. It was 84, 87 minutes long, something like that. It wasn't long, but it felt really, really long. There was virtually nothing to enjoy in this, and I really wish that there was, whether it be in a terrible way or whether they sort of tried. They did. There was one instance of them trying, actually, which I just thought about, where there was one instance where a character, he hates the sound of clicking pens and just noisy things in general. So they kind of try and work that into the plot and as part of his character motivation. So they try it in places, but it was horrific. And a huge victory for you, because it was quite a stitch up. It was quite impressive as a stitch up. It's a 0.5. It's a 0.5.
0.5.
Fucking awful. Absolutely nothing to enjoy. And you got to remember as well that, like, I'm totally not the target audience for this. So I'm reviewing it as me, but I really tried to find something I liked in it, and like I was scraping a barrel really by saying that it was colourful. But I did it anyway. It's done now. It's done, and I can move on from Stitch Up from potentially another episode.
For this week.
Potentially. Let's hope so. On that subject, let's find out who lost the next poll. I put this one on. I put this one on our pod Instagram page, which I think we'll probably do from now on, as we discussed earlier. I chose for you Double Dragon, and you chose for me a film called The Pink Panther, which has got Steve Martin in it. There were 7 votes in total, and we both saw who voted.
Yeah. I can see who voted for me.
So but for everybody sitting at home who's listening, 5 votes went to you to watch Double Dragon. And yeah.
I'm kind of okay with. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what
Well,
this film is about.
funnily enough, I'm kind of curious too. And History and Film emailed us this morning, and they firstly admitted to having voted for you. So thanks,
Don't
History and
worry.
Film. But also,
Thanks,
they said
Luke.
that it's Logan. Yeah, Logan said it's one of his guilty pleasures. So then
Ooh.
there's some glorious overacting by one Robert Patrick. So I'm kind of curious to see how that goes. And you are having the pleasure of experiencing that for episode 74. So Double Dragon for you, my friend.
Double dragon.
Double
Not double
Dragon.
rainbow, double dragon.
Not Double Rainbow.
You know that YouTube thing.
I'm not aware of Double Rainbow.
I'll send you
I'm
the
aware of
link.
Double Impact, Double Deckers. They're good. Right. Next poll then. I've got a bit of a conundrum here. Not really a conundrum. I've just got a bit of a problem because you've already spoken about Thunder Force and I'd already written down Thunder Force in pen, so I can't rub it out now. It's in history forever and always.
Oh, I could potentially give you Thunder Force, though, couldn't I?
Well, I could give you Thunder Force again. So you have to watch it again.
Well, I already know what it's about.
Fuck it. So we both choose Thunder Force for each other.
No. We're not doing that again.
All right. Do you know what you've got for me?
I think I'm just gonna choose. Oh, here we go. No, this is Birdemic. No, this is not what I want to choose for you. Have you found something for me, or are you choosing?
No, because my option was gone. It's gone now.
Come on, you've got to have other options.
I have, but I'm looking in my list. I haven't updated it for a while, and I've given you most of these already. Oh, this one used to be on Amazon. It's not on Amazon anymore. That's a shame. Is this one on Amazon? Nope. You've done Mac and Me already. You've done Gooby. You've done Troll 2.
Troll 2 was so much fun. I found it. I found what I'm choosing for you.
Have you?
Reels review with Jen. I've been looking at her
Yeah.
page because sometimes she's got some really quirky films
Yes.
that she reviews.
on.
I'm going to choose Hobgoblins.
Hobgoblins.
Yeah, 1988 film. To be fair, I think you might even enjoy it.
It does kind of sound like one of those, doesn't it? A little bit. All right. We'll throw that on the poll then. I'm glad that you played that clip because that gave me some time to look up a film which I've now chosen, and it is called Avalanche Sharks. And it is available, and I've got a link for you if you lose the next poll. So I'm going to cross out Thunder Force and write in Avalanche Sharks. Yeah, so if you want to vote on that poll, you can do on our Instagram page at Twin Peaks Pod. You can catch up with me on Instagram at flick.face. You can catch up with the show on Twitter at Twin Peaks Pod. You can email us at twinpeakspod@gmail.com. If you want to support the show, you can do it at kofi.com/Twin Peaks Podcast. I think that's everything. What are your socials?
Chica Nika or Nika Creative at Instagram.
At Instagram. Oh God, we've just got to get one of those things so we can just insert an audio clip at the end because that's the most tiring thing about doing these. We do whatever we want, mate.
Yeah,
we could sign off with bottom noises if we wanted to. Thanks for listening.
Goodbye. How mature.
Thanks very much for listening. Stay tuned for next episode where we're going to pick our Spanish movies. So we'll catch up with you then.
Espanol. Bueno. Buenas noches.
Buenos, au revoir. That's French. Goodbye.